Okay, we're live, episode 2 of Over a Couple of Beers. This is Jason Cercone alongside Jason Collins.
Howdy.
Welcome back for another episode. We got a little bit more of a quiet environment this evening, but I wanted to thank all of you guys who tuned in last week for our premiere episode, and we're looking to deliver some more this week of all the fun, great beer talk that's been going on for the past week. It's almost kind of ironic and funny that we talked a little bit about that Budweiser ad last week, and kind of under the impression, at least I know I was, that might be the end of the conversation. But I think as good as it's been, or as good as it's going to be for beer, it's not the end of the conversation. There's been a lot of talk this week about the whole craft beer scene, what that ad did to really fuel the fire, and really brought a lot of stuff to light, and we're going to get into some of that tonight. And as usual, over a couple of beers, we're going to do that tonight. We can start off with some positive in regards to the beer. Both of us have cracked open a 2 Espresso from Southern Tier. I actually experienced this beer for the first time during the Super Bowl. Loved it. And Southern Tier is actually one of our big breweries. It's close to home, so kind of close to heart. Having both of us growing up in Bradford, PA, we kind of split before the brewery actually became as big as it is, but still a fun place to go whenever we get up home. So shout out to those guys for always producing solid beer.
Yeah, the 2 Espresso is very good. Kind of a toned-down version of the Java they used to have, but I got to tell you, it's action-packed with coffee flavor. Really hits you right in the mouth when you drink it, which is the way I like my beer to be, and Southern Tier has always been known as a brewery that hits you right in the mouth with the beer.
Yeah.
Whatever it says on the outside of the label, that's typically what it tastes like, and then some.
And you do get, I get a little bit of that lemon in it too. It says it's brewed with the lemon peels as well. I do get a little bit of that in there as well.
Does come in, yep.
Very good stuff. So, yeah, like Jason said, Southern Tier, these guys are always putting out good beer, and always look forward to diving into the things that they have to offer. So as we kick back and sip down these 2 Espressos for our first beer of the night, we're going to dive in a little bit more to the Budweiser ads. So anybody that's been...
Actually, before we do that, before I forget, can I give a shout-out to my cousin, Jamie Hassick?
Do what you want, man.
He has a brewery, a small brewery in Stafford, Virginia, called Blunt Force. And
that is a badass name. I
like
that.
And he is a Marine, so it fits perfectly. He was kind enough this past week to listen to our first podcast, and he shared it. He might have been just being nice to us on his feedback, but he said he liked it, and he's going to be listening from now on. So I appreciate that. And if anybody's in that area, please check it out. They're making a bunch of different beers there, and he's trying to help me out. He also has a community on Facebook called the Pints Templar, where they do a lot of posting about craft beer and home brewing, and they're discussing a lot of the stuff on there that we're going to discuss tonight.
So yeah, that leads us into it's again. It seems like it's for negative fodder, all the things that we'll be getting into. But I think in the long scheme of things here, it is going to be for the greater good for the whole craft beer industry. So just to recap and bring it up in case you were at your timeshare on Pluto this past week or 2 weeks ago. Anheuser-Busch InBev came out with a Super Bowl ad that basically fired some shots at craft beer, and more so, I think, craft beer drinkers, and kind of tried to steer us away from the beers that we've all come to know and love. Yeah, just really trying to shine a negative outlook on all of us that enjoy more complex beers or beers that are made to be fussed over, quote unquote. So it's really brought up a lot of pushback, which is it's really entertaining to watch and read. I can't think, or I don't think I've woke up any day since our last podcast, and even since the Super Bowl, there wasn't at least one article that had surfaced about what was going on with this whole thing. So,
or a joke about pumpkin peach ale.
Yeah, that too. That seems to be the one in question. I think What's cool, we'll talk a little bit about that, what one place did when we as we delve into this a little bit more, but we'll start off with something I thought was really cool. I saw this morning that a couple of our local brewers here in Pittsburgh, Andy Kwiatkowski from Hitchhiker and Asa Foster from Brew Gentleman, were both on KDKA sharing their viewpoints of what they saw or what they felt about the whole Budweiser ad, and I think it did some nice justice for all the great things that are happening here in Pittsburgh. And part of my mission with everything I've been doing has been to raise awareness about the great beers that these guys are producing, and getting them into that type of forum where they're on the 11 o'clock news talking about that Budweiser ad did just that. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, good point there. All right, so and just to continue going off of that whole Budweiser thing, there's a bar in Fort Collins, Colorado, came out today. Matador Mexican Grill, due to the whole pushback that everyone's doing, they pulled Budweiser from their shelves. So I'd like to be the first to applaud them for taking that action. I think that as we see these craft beer bars start to spring up and more bars are shifting their whole programs towards those craft beers, Budweiser is getting phased out anyway. So these guys just they made a great step forward in making it official, and pretty much said that the people that come to their bars, I know when I watched the interview or the news segment with the owner today, he was saying that they have enough complex beers that they don't need to worry about that stuff. The people
Denver's a craft beer mecca. I'm not surprised that they're the one that kind of grabbed the ball and ran with this. Fort Collins has plenty of brewers there, and Denver in general in that area have a ton of craft breweries, and I'm not surprised that they fired the first shot back at Budweiser and said that they're just not going to, take the crap or the crappy beer. So kudos to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that leads into another headline that Budweiser was making this week, or Anheuser-Busch, however you want to say it, that they were pursuing Cigar City Brewing in Florida, and also another one, Due South Brewing, also in Florida. And, I mean, that was, I had seen that the whole pursuit of Cigar City had been going on for much longer than just this past week. That's actually been going on for quite a long time, at least the last year. It just really didn't become public knowledge, and I'm sure that ad had a lot to do with bringing it to the forefront. And to bring up Andy from Hitchhiker again, I know I saw a tweet that he put out this week that was absolutely perfect in regards to that whole pursuit by Budweiser going after Cigar City. Is, in the world that we live in, there's going to be those buyouts, and it's really should give you, the craft beer drinker, a good reason just to focus on what's local. And there's a lot of great breweries putting out beer here in Pittsburgh. So focus on those guys and don't worry so much about what Anheuser-Busch is doing as much as it's in our face every single day.
We were talking about this before this started, and I'm still confused about the target being on Cigar City, how that even is something that Budweiser's looking into. There's such a specialty beer place. Like they're, obviously they have an IPA, but they really push the envelope on, creativity with their beers, and to go after them, I don't know what that really does for Anheuser-Busch. Maybe they're looking to get into that business, into the really crazy pumpkin peach ales, even though they slammed it at the Super Bowl. But I don't understand that. I don't know enough about Due South to really put my 2 cents in on that one, but I've had Cigar City beers, and they're excellent, and I hope that, at least for the beer drinkers' sake, they don't sell out, but who knows how much money is getting thrown in front of them.
Yeah, I think it's pretty crazy, too. I mean, it might have been their whole reasoning behind doing this, but the fact that Budweiser's probably gotten more publicity and more talk just from this, whether it be negative or not, over the past couple weeks, and they've gotten in years, and really since, I know they've had a ton of Super Bowl ads, but this is, again, that's what their beer's founded on, is just advertising the crap out of it and making us think it's good and brainwashing us, and for years we've fallen for it. But that's what's cool about this whole craft beer revolution now, is it's shifted. It's got everybody's mindset in a different place, and those kinds of beers are going by the wayside, and more, if they're going to do anything to help the cause, just keep making ads like that, fellas. That's all I can say.
Well, and that's fire was shot on national television in front of 115 million people, but they've been doing this behind the scenes for years and years and years and years.
Sure.
So, this is nothing new from them. They make it difficult for anybody who wants to brew craft beer, or however you want to put it, wants to brew their own beer. You get any moderate success and start taking away any of their profits, they're going to make you suffer for it, and this is no different.
Yeah, and that's another cool thing I found today, that this has gotten as far as Congress, and not to spend a lot of time on...
Why, is somebody doing steroids?
No, it might be. Let me
Is
read
Greg
through
from
this.
Stone doing steroids?
No, it doesn't say anything about that.
Sam Calagione?
No, Sam's good. Basically, what we're looking at here is the fact that it's really cool, and I think this is a big, kind of just a different outlook on this whole perspective. If you think back to, I know we talked briefly about Beer Wars last week, not to bring that up again, but that was one of the big things that Nat Barron covered, was the fact that there was a lot of politicians that Anheuser-Busch had in their pocket. And this article that I posted, it's actually on my Breaking Brews Facebook page. Is talking about how there's some politicians that are standing up for craft beer and showing their support for quote unquote the little guy. And I think that speaks volumes about where we're moving as far as a beer culture goes. They understand that there's a lot of people there that, if it's for political gain, it is what it is. But they're starting to stand up for that small segment of beers, and as it's growing and continuing to make noise, I think you're going to see more people get on board. So the fact that it's gotten as far as Congress, that's a big deal, and says a lot. I mean, you think about a minute commercial spawned this whole snowball effect of things that are happening, and who knows where it's going to stop.
Or if it's going to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they like throwing around their money and making things difficult for everybody, and they're just like the tobacco companies.
Yeah.
They have a product that they make a lot of money on, which when it comes down to it, it's not good for you, but we do like it, and as a country, God, we love it, but
we love things that aren't good for us.
Of course we do. Of course we do, and it's just odd to see the same industry fighting amongst each other when I guess they're out for two different goals. Anheuser-Busch is out to make as much money as possible, the product be damned. Craft beer is out to give the public a better choice in what they drink as far as alcohol goes, and it's just funny to me that Anheuser-Busch sees that as a bad thing.
Well, they're brewing beer the hard way. They want everybody to know this. So there you go. So that kind of segues into we're getting off the Anheuser-Busch subject for a minute, but we're going to talk about someone that seems like they're mirroring their mindset, and that would be Red Bull. If you guys missed that this past week,
I think they were hired by Anheuser-Busch for this.
This one, let me see if I can find this article too. I think I posted that on my main page, but there's a brewery in Virginia known as Old Ox Brewery. And
I know you're probably confused right now.
Yeah,
you might be confusing that with Red Bull.
That's pretty much what Red Bull is claiming. So what they did is they filed a lawsuit against Old Ox Brewery because they felt that their logo and everything involved with their name would confuse people.
Jackasses.
Into thinking that, let me find the quote. It seems pretty ridiculous.
They're trying to say an ox and a bull are basically the same.
Yeah, and attorneys for the energy drink assert some consumers might confuse the brands because an ox and a bull both fall within the same class of bovine animals and are virtually indistinguishable to most consumers. In addition, an ox is a castrated bull. Now, I know that this Old Ox, he had to have gone to Bovine University because that was the place to be. That's
bear in mind, Old Ox makes beer and Red Bull makes energy drinks. And they're worried that somebody might confuse those two things.
Yeah, that's That is Anheuser-Busch thinking to a T.
Listen, I wouldn't put it past Anheuser-Busch to be the catalyst.
Maybe.
Get it, cattle? Catalyst behind this whole
nice job, man.
This whole thing.
Sitting on that one for 12 minutes.
can't. I just can't believe that Red Bull would be concerned with something this stupid.
Yeah, I mean, and that's where I'm not going to go through and read this whole thing, but
Please check it out and see the letter back from the president of Old Ox. It's really good.
that's what I was going to mention. I have this article posted on the Breaking Brews page as well. Chris Burns, the president of Old Ox, he fired back to Red Bull with a great response that was humorous and also incredibly logical. And I think that, I don't know, I mean, when you think about what Red Bull sets themselves up as in the public eye, to go after a very small brewery that's not in any way infringing on what they do is the most ludicrous thing that you could possibly imagine. It's just it's so. I came across as I had to laugh. I was just like, this is insane. That
it's just a big company want to make it difficult for a smaller company. It's ridiculous, and that's why I say there's something else here going on, because I just can't imagine that Old Ox Brewery is even on Red Bull's radar.
Right.
It can't be.
Yep. Yeah, and they say it. They know they're a small startup. They're a family run. They love beer. They love their community. They're trying to do good things, and this is where.
In related news, they're in New York right now, and they want the bull ripped down on Wall Street because it's infringing on their copyright.
And the Chicago Bulls are being forced to change their name. I don't know. We could probably make a bunch of stupid bull puns, but
it too, right?
Yeah, I'm done. I'm going to tap out on the bull puns because it's just not making sense. But nevertheless, like I said, check that out. Reading the rebuttal from Chris Burns is worth the price of admission alone, just to see how he fires back. Because I think I kind of frame it in this is the what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of the rebel mentality of the whole craft beer industry to go against the grain and do things a little bit differently. So instead of having lawyers craft some sort of ridiculously legalese-laden letter, he fired back in his own way, and it really came from the heart. And it was funny, and it was good, and it really
basically tongue
makes
out
the point.
and trumpet to the nose and telling him to stick it.
Yeah.
Which is the way it should
Which is
be.
the way it should be. So that's that. I mean, like I said, lots uncovered this week in regards to beer, and I'm still looking for the one that Jason and I were laughing about earlier today for you guys.
I'm angry.
Listen, this is why
My
I can't.
face is turning red because of this stupidness.
I can't talk much about this beer style. I'll admit my lack of knowledge. I know I've been to bottle shares at Piper's Pub and things of that nature, and or samples here and there at maybe at people's houses, whatever. I've never had at least to my knowledge, this is how little I know about it. I've not had a lot of Gose beer in my life.
It's pronounced Gose.
Is it Gose?
With a
Gose.
Z.
Okay, I over-enunciate the S. I apologize for that.
I will give the writer credit in this article. As soon as I read how the name was pronounced, I immediately went to the Ghostbusters joke, and he
put it in there.
So he actually was on the same wavelength with me, but that's about all me and this guy have in common.
So I'm going to totally butcher this last name. This was on Thrill List today. The name
Zool?
Joe Keohane? I don't know, something to that effect. But the headline of the article was "Craft Beer is Dead, Gose Killed It." Gose killed it. I'm sorry, I said that wrong again. So it's a attention grabber to say the least, but basically
even has a cute little gravestone with.
Yeah, I mean the artwork's fantastic.
And he's smart enough to think that craft beer started in 1984. I hate to break it to him, but Sierra Nevada was around 1979. So wrong already.
So his big claim here in this article is that he was in New York, I believe it was. I'm not going to go through this thing word for word. Wherever he was, he had a Gose for the first time. Basically claimed that it tasted like sweat, and from the fact that it tasted like sweat, craft beer is done.
Well, you would think that Gose is part of the craft beer revolution.
Sure.
But as he points out, but doesn't actually factor into his argument, Gose is from Germany.
Yep.
And last I looked, I didn't know the craft beer revolution was happening in Germany. I'm pretty sure it's happening here. And that's what most of this is about. Anheuser-Busch wasn't making a commercial about what's going on with the craft beer revolution in Germany. They've had their own style of beer for thousands of years.
And look here, this is the big line, big letters, big bold font. It was a glorious revolution, and now it's over. End quote. Now, here's the thing about this. I think that, I'm not going to deny the fact that we know there's a lot of beer out there to choose from. There's no question about it.
Probably too much.
Every brewery's got their own take on different styles, and everyone does one a little bit better, and they try to tweak this and tweak that. And I think that's fantastic. That just shows the ingenuity behind this whole process and gives us all such amazing options as craft beer enthusiasts that we're never going to be bored. We're always going to find something new that we can dive into. But this basically says that the industry, to paraphrase, has run out of ideas. And, see, that's where I 100% disagree with this dude, with what he had to say.
Sam Calagione spits in his beer. They haven't run out of ideas.
No, I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, you see shows that spotlight things like that, like Brewmasters, Brewmasters, I'm sorry, from a few years back, where Sam went out of his way to bring that beer to America. You look at what, even from a local standpoint, sounded good. Is that another 2 espresso?
No, Dew Claw Serum.
Okay. Why don't you tell us about that good beer?
Other than the fact it's got some plaster on it, because a buddy of mine brought it over after he was done doing his bathroom.
I hope they're happy together.
Double IPA from Dew Claw. Actually, one of the more unique tasting takes on a double IPA you'll ever have. I don't know what they do, but it's different than pretty much any one I've ever had. I'm a huge fan of it. It's very drinkable, but drink responsibly, as we always say. But it's definitely one of my favorite doubles out there right now.
It's got to be better than this Gose. Bad flavor is the new good flavor because all the good flavors are taken. Gose is upon us. We are all sweat drinkers now. This guy doesn't like the Gose. That was what I took from this.
Apparently, his beer told him to choose his destroyer. The Stay Puft Marshmallow Man showed up, and okay, enough Ghostbusters jokes.
No, more Ghostbusters jokes. We can listen to those all night. With the fantastic remake or what are they calling it? Reboot. It's a reboot.
Yeah, I'm not going to condemn that yet. The women they did pick for it are very, very funny. Although,
to get off the subject of beer, please, dude, tell me you watched that trailer for Trainwreck that I sent.
I haven't watched it yet. I was going to watch it tonight.
God, okay, so if you haven't seen this, it's coming out not until July, but there's a movie coming out with Amy Schumer, Bill Hader from Saturday Night Live fame, and LeBron James called Trainwreck. It's basically about Amy Schumer's life being just that, and she's told at an early age by her father, played by Colin Quinn, that monogamy is not practical, and she basically just grows up hooking up with dudes, and the premise of this movie, and it's
her life then, for real.
Yeah, I mean this trailer popped up for me too on Facebook.
I hope there's a scene with her in a taxi cab.
There's a scene with her and John Cena. I'll say that.
Oh God!
And that scene, I was dying. So
it's gonna be great.
We're not gonna play this on air because we're trying to keep some of the language down. But if you get a chance, check out Trainwreck. It looks awesome. It's gonna be out in July. But getting back,
hold on a second because now that we're talking about trailers, I saw one the other day for a movie called What Now, and oddly enough. Most people know this about me that know me. I'm a big Bone and Thugs and Harmony fan. And their Facebook page posted this movie trailer. And I was like, what the hell are they doing? Well, they're in it. But so are a bunch of other...
Bone Thugs and Harmony's in a movie.
Yes, they're in a movie along with a lot of other...
awesome.
A lot of other names you might know. Mainly Mr. J.R. Jim Ross. And
J.R. and Bone Thugs and Harmony are in a movie.
Yeah, together. And in the trailer alone... The scenes with JR that are in the trailer are worth watching the movie.
Yeah.
Because he's dropping F-bombs and being totally ridiculous. So that's another one to keep an eye out for. It's supposed to be coming out as What Now? And then also Trainwreck. So it looks like there'll be some funny movies this summer.
Yeah, Trainwreck is going to be outstanding. I'm going to have to look up the trailer for that. What now?
What now?
What now? All right. So, to put this back on the beer, just to wrap up real quick. The Buccaneers released Josh McCown. I just got that text.
Shocker.
Never saw that coming. But anyway, I don't think the craft beer revolution is dead by any stretch of the imagination. Articles on Thrill List about Gose notwithstanding. I think this dude just is one of the ones just suffering from a little bit of a not advanced palate. Is that a good way to say it? I don't know. Listen, we're all entitled to our opinions. Obviously, this gentleman's got a strong one and a platform in which to express it. So
it's based on falseness.
Yeah, I mean, he can say what he wants.
It's German beer. It's not craft. It's not considered to be craft beer.
Warm, it tastes like spicy sweat. Cold, it tastes like cold sweat. You know what? Honestly,
Sounds delicious.
As it is with any beer, it's subjective. So this Joe Keohane doesn't like it. You may love it. If you get your chance, you get the opportunity to give it a shot, do it. Try it out and see. If it tastes like sweat to you, then run away.
It might be a bad beer. It really might be a bad beer, but we're condemning this on a beer that I've never heard of, and it's from Germany. It's from Germany.
Yeah.
It's not an American beer. I don't understand what this whole argument's even about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the fact that this shows that there was a bar that was actually even offering this for this guy to try and then, tear it to shreds, just shows how it's advancing, how these places are trying to put new things on for for customers to try. And hats off to those people.
And if anything can be learned from this article, it's that if anybody ever asks you if you're a god, you say yes.
Good one.
I didn't mean to kill the whole thing here, but I just had to put that Ghostbusters joke in there.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, you're doing that. I'm trying to find if there's anything else worth mentioning. Anyway, you know what, guys? Just go read the article. It's entertaining. Jason commented to me today, just, when he saw that I had posted it, the ridiculousness behind it. The cynicism amused me, was my response, because, I mean, it was such a reach that craft beer died because he didn't like that style. So, take it for what you will. Like it if you don't.
I won't condemn him completely, though. I did like his writing style.
I'll give him that. He had some good jokes in there, and he went right to Ghostbusters, so there's nothing wrong with that. But, I mean, again, taste is subjective. I know a lot of people that don't like IPAs. I could sit there and drink it till I fell off the chair, which has happened maybe once or twice. So
I probably was there for that.
Probably pushed me. Jerk. So it is what it is. So, honestly, that's wrapping up the beer talk. I mean, and amazing that in a beer podcast we covered almost half an hour of beer.
Wow, 2/3.
I mean, two episodes into this thing, and we're doing what we're supposed to. I don't know. I think that's kind of cool. What else you got, dude?
So there's this Bruce Jenner chick.
Yeah. Anything else with this beer stuff in your fridge?
I'm kind of low on my stuff, man. I got some Harvest in there.
From the summer?
Yeah.
Sweet. That was my contribution to the beer exchange. I'll take the last one.
Very nice. So there's this... well, you know what? Since Cercone had told me earlier that he really didn't look too much into this or really been paying attention, we'll go over the Kanye West stuff first. And I really don't have much to say.
That's just how much I care about celebrities.
Yeah, I didn't watch the Grammys. I just watched this idiot, and I got to tell you, I guess I just heard that he's now kicked off of all award shows. He's been banned. He's not allowed.
Well, he did this before, right? Didn't he?
Yeah, he embarrassed the hell out of Taylor Swift. In 2009 by going up and saying that basically Beyonce was robbed. And
if he would have done it this year, you know what she would have done. I'm not even going to do it. I realize how dumb that joke would have been.
All right, good thing you killed it before it was.
Yeah, I jumped out of it.
So if you've been living under a rock, you probably don't know this, but Kanye tried to go up and interrupt Beck when he won at the Grammys.
But under that rock.
Right. Well, you knew about it.
I knew.
You just didn't really look too far.
It.
Yeah. Well, it almost looked like a joke at first. He goes up, gets most of the way there, then turns around and comes back. But it wasn't a joke. What really this turns into is he's probably got Asperger's at best. Worst case scenario, he's a certified lunatic. He got on the after show on E and basically tore the music industry apart because they don't appreciate the artistry and the musical ability and blah blah blah. And again, he was defending the honor of Beyonce, which he was in 2009 as well with Taylor Swift. So why don't you just get it out in the open already that you want to marry Beyonce and steal her from Jay-Z and see how that goes over for you. The second part of this is this idiot who's in the music business made it painfully obvious he doesn't know who Beck is. Because he was talking about the artistry and how, they don't appreciate how music is made. This dude played like 12 or 15 instruments on his album himself.
Yeah.
He sings, and he was talking about artistry. With Beyonce, who, as it was put, needed at least 4 people to write the one song that she was nominated for.
I did see that on Twitter. That's
ridiculous.
About as spot on as anything could say for the music industry these days.
He's an idiot, and that's really all I have to say about it. He's a joke, and he thinks he's way more important to the music industry than he really is. Second, what did I start going into, and then I went off on that. Oh, that chick, Bruce Jenner.
More people nobody care about.
Right, exactly. Well, and same family, too. How about that?
You can call it that.
Right, well, whatever.
It's like a colony.
Yeah, right. Regardless of what he's trying to do as far as his personal life goes, which is fine if that's his thing and that's what he feels like he needs to do, I have no problem with it. But so he was involved in an accident that killed somebody this past week, and initial rumors that are out that he was texting and blah blah blah, and some eyewitnesses say no, and then he was claiming that he was being hassled by paparazzi.
Let me backtrack because again, this is in regards to eyewitnesses. Was there someone in the car?
Well, it was
Who could be an eyewitness of someone texting while driving if they're not in the car?
It's a very busy highway. You can see in a window. And but oddly enough,
so much.
Oddly enough,
God,
there's claims that he was being bothered by paparazzi, which they are denying. Yet TMZ was there with the cameras were on as this was going on.
They always are.
Right. So
they're everywhere. I work for.
Who knows? I don't know what it's like to be followed around all the time by people with cameras and all that stuff.
I do. It sucks.
You don't.
People got to stop.
You don't.
Leave me alone. I'm just trying to live my life.
What are you, a workman's comp claim or something? Is that why they're following you around with cameras?
There's none of your business.
Okay, anyway.
All right.
So, there's that. All this undue attention. And, of course, he couldn't take his personal feelings and wanting to become a woman and just let it be that. He's got to have a TV show about it.
He couldn't hit Kanye West.
Right, exactly. Why was he not in that car?
It's the old should have been X-Pac thing.
Right, exactly.
That's old school.
That's
old school.
That's an inside joke.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Well, I'm going to say this, and I'll let you detail it because I'm the dumbass that listen. I want to say I didn't forget to buy a ticket. I thought because we talked about this that listen, Machine Head.
You couldn't have forgot to buy a ticket because they lit you up at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I know. One of the best bands out there, bar none, and live. Even sitting here talking about it on a podcast doesn't do it justice. Those guys are ridiculous. If you're not into that kind of music, then you might not get into it. But if you are, they're the kings. And I've seen them 4 times. This past Saturday, Mr. Small should have been 5. But I underestimated the popularity that they've gained and thought that, I'll just get my ticket at the door. And then I got the text on Tuesday saying that they were sold out. So I missed it. You, on the other hand, got to get your face melted off. So go ahead. How was it? Rub it in, jerk.
Well, since this is a craft beer podcast, or at least partly about craft beer, I can tie all this in.
Yeah.
So let's
start at the grist house.
Yes. Well, it gets better. So I get out of work, and we decide that myself and a few of the friends are going to meet up at Grist House to have a couple beers before the show starts. A couple other friends decided they were going to see if they could possibly scalp some tickets, which was fruitless. But regardless, we stopped, had a couple beers. Was it Berlin Food Company was there?
Berlin Street Food, absolutely.
Yeah,
Ooh, love their
great,
stuff.
Great sandwich, so a little plug to them. They had their food cart there. It was delicious. And
Currywurst. Get the currywurst.
I had the veggie sandwich. It was pretty simple, but I got to tell you, it was the tastiest veggies in a pita I've ever had in my life.
That hit the spot. And after a Master in the Galaxy, I paired the Camp Slap Red with the currywurst, and I had done this before, and it was just by dumb luck I did the Camp Slap Red, which is one of their big, it's their really hoppy red ale, not something that I'm accustomed to in a red ale, but they knock it out of the park. It was the first Grist House beer I ever had. I paired it with spicy chicken. I had bought a growler when they first opened, and it was ridiculous. The pairing was perfect. So this currywurst, which was I guess it's like a German sausage type thing.
It sounds like fusion, because curry is an Indian.
Yeah, but they don't get a lot of curry. I mean, they had some kind of special sauce, whatever it was. I mean, I was a couple beers in, so I don't think my taste palates were completely lit up. But that flavor was perfect with that beer. So anything spicy, Camp Slap Red, perfect marriage. Continue, sir.
All right, so we have a few beers. It's getting close to game time, so we walk over to Mr. Small's Theater over in Millville. And let me tell you, you and I had seen Machine Head there back in 2004, and it was great. It was awesome, and the venue was awesome, and it's an old church, and just a cool place to see a metal band play. And
absolutely,
it's a total dump now.
What?
I don't know what they did. He was talking up how great it was on the inside. Half the place has got particle board all over. I don't know if they're in the middle of renovating it or what they're doing, but when you went inside, all the stained glass windows and stuff are covered.
Oh,
so
man, that was one of the coolest parts of that venue. I haven't been there since that Machine Head show. I mean, that's
so,
11 years.
Me either.
Yeah.
So it was, that was a little bit disappointing. But when I left Grist House, I completely had come to the conclusion that I was going to go to Mr. Small's and not drink because their beer selection was going to suck. How wrong could I be?
Yeah, I hear they upped their game in that respect.
Well, they had an entire cooler devoted to just craft beer. I stuck with two old favorites, the Nugget Nectar, which I had last week on the podcast. They had that, and then they also had some carryover from the wintertime, little Sierra Nevada celebration.
Nice.
So I was in hog heaven. I couldn't believe that they were serving them in bottles. Glass bottles in a metal show. I thought it was going to end badly. But as would be the case, unlike these crazy asses at these country shows who just toss shit and throw stuff around and smash things, nothing. It was all good. And I got really, really drunk and watched a really, really good metal show and had a great time. And I'm still sore, actually, from all that, we weren't really moshing, but we were definitely jumping around and doing a lot of the screaming and yelling and all that stuff. So it's taken me a few days to recover.
Good stuff. Well, like I said, I mean, I'm being 35 now. I know the days of moshing and whatnot are behind me. I don't even think they were ever in front of me, honestly. I dig the music, but...
You never went to a Junkhead show?
Never went to a Junkhead show. No one's going to... No.
You went to Junkhead shows.
Maybe I did. I don't know. But nevertheless, oh yeah, you know what I did? God, jeez, that's going back even further than our 2004. Yeah, but that was when we were kids, man.
Yeah.
We can't do this stuff anymore. God.
I think I tore my ACL.
Yeah, I was gonna say I got ligaments to worry about now and extremities that would probably get broken off. Nevertheless, that's cool. I'm sure it seems that Machine Head's been making their rounds and getting to Pittsburgh at least every other year. I know we just saw them very recent. I'm looking forward to them coming back. I won't make the same mistake twice. It's obvious they're growing, and hey, if they have it down there at Mr. Small's, we'll get ourselves some good beer. But again, I mean, just to put a bow on that, shout out to the guys at Grist House. Love those guys. Actually,
indeed,
working on potentially, and this isn't guaranteed yet, but possibly doing episode 3 next week from Grist House Live. So hopefully we'll get a chance to talk with Brian and Kyle and the great staff up there. It's kind of cool. We have a little bit of a local connection there with Colleen, who's the bar manager there. She's from our hometown of Bradford, and all the awesome artwork, the chalk art that's done up there is done by her. So if you've been to Grist House and seen that, she is the artist behind that stuff. So love what you guys are doing, and keep that up. Looking forward to being back there again soon. I know spent a lot of time there when I lived up north. I was a few minutes down the road, but definitely a destination that I look forward to coming back to again and again. What else is in the news?
You've been keeping up with the Bobby Christina Houston Brown saga going on there with the daughter that attempted suicide and is in a coma and all that good stuff.
Nope. That's just another thing I could
Good
care
Lord, dude.
less about. I don't read this Yahoo page that you're on.
Dude, you're on Twitter and Facebook.
I know, but not on those pages.
Okay.
I don't...
Because that's not in the news. You're supposed to get prepared for these
Oh, that's a big one. Brian Williams. That's huge.
Who cares?
Oh, you care about Bobby Brown and Whitney Houston, but not the fact that Jon Stewart's going to be on?
He's not. Well, not that part. Do you even know why? Do you even know why Brian Williams is in the news?
Hey, he had a fake... Or he put
He
out a
lied.
fake story.
Can
Or
you
lied.
believe it? Somebody
in the media.
In the media.
Oh,
Oh,
I know, it's
no.
tragic.
Really?
But Jon Stewart's going to be on the nightly news now, or whatever show he's on. I don't
Is
know,
that
man.
confirmed?
It came out today, yeah.
Okay. Well,
Oh my God, I knew something in the entertainment world that you didn't.
No, I knew about it. I didn't know if that was a confirmed thing. My favorite radio show, Opie and Jimmy were talking about it this morning, but I didn't know that that was a confirmed thing. I just caught the tail end of it.
By the way, I did listen to a lot of that show on the way up. Hilarious. Eugene Levy is hysterical. Just throwing that out there.
Did I miss him today?
You
Was he
must
on
have.
today?
Oh, yeah, he was on with his son.
Oh, I missed it completely. I was listening mostly when Dave Attell and
Well, Dave was on there too. It was Dave and Stuttering John, and then the Levys were on there. Yeah, it was big. It was a good show.
And Jim Norton was
On the off chance that they
top
would,
of his game.
yeah,
today.
on the off chance that they would ever listen to our podcast, love you guys.
Yeah, that's never going to happen.
That's never going to happen. All right, we'll tweet it at him and see what happens.
Still never going to happen. We'll just get made fun of.
Yeah, no, that's fine. It's exposure, dude.
So we talked about the imminent Better Call Saul.
Yeah, that
I loved it.
lived up to the expectations for
Yep.
sure.
It's not a explosive show yet, like Breaking Bad was right out of the gate. But I got to tell you,
I don't know, man. The scene in, I mean, not to, if you guys haven't watched it yet, I'm not going to ruin too much. But the scene in the desert with the negotiations, and I don't want to name characters because if I name characters, it's going to give away way too much good stuff. But
you're a fan of Breaking Bad,
yeah,
stuff. But I will say that I read an article that said that they don't have to start out quite as explosive because they've already signed a 2-year deal with AMC, so they've got some leeway and some time to do this stuff. So they're going to do it right, which they did Breaking Bad as right as you can do it, being under the gun like they were. And if you haven't checked it out, actually, if you haven't checked it out and you've never checked out Breaking Bad, watch Breaking Bad, watch the whole series, and then start Better Call Saul. You'll like it even better.
If you haven't watched Breaking Bad yet, I want to meet you. I want to meet the last person on earth that hasn't watched Breaking Bad.
Yeah, greatest show ever.
Yeah, it's good. So, I'm trying to think. Like I said, next week, hopefully we'll be able to shoot this or record this or whatever you want to say down at Grist House. And anything to add before we wrap this up? Any live reads?
I don't have it. I gave mine early on with Jamie and Blunt Force.
Awesome.
I thank them again. Is there anybody that we need to plug this week or?
No. I mean, just to throw it out to you guys. I mean, as this continues to develop and grow, we're gonna do everything in our power to make this podcast come out weekly. Our goal, and I know I've already talked to a couple people that are going to be coming on with us. We don't want it to just be the two of us sitting around talking. We're going to have some guests, and hopefully that's going to add some value to the show. And that's obviously the goal. But if you're sitting and listening to just us talk, we do appreciate that. And we're going to keep making this better and better every week. So, like I said,
and I'm going to be starting my own podcast soon.
Nobody cares about that.
They do. They don't yet, but they will. It's going to be probably a lot more NC-17 talk. So if you're into that type of thing,
he's going to have a porno podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm hoping so.
That'll be great.
If I can get some of that worked out, those will be some interesting guests. But I'll be coming out with my own. A little bit more edgy, that type of stuff. It's not really going to have a format that's sets on one certain thing, but I'm hoping to get my first one up next week, so keep an eye out.
Awesome. So, all right, guys. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this week in this edition of Over a Couple of Beers. I'm Jason Cercone. This is Jason Collins.
At Jason P. Collins on Twitter.
This is the podcast that's recorded and brewed the hard way, and you better believe it's the one you better fuss over. Take care, ladies and gentlemen.